everyone. Welcome to the 8th episode of the Sword and Strategy Podcast.
Number 8.
Number 8. As always, with you is Paul and Josh. Hey, as we go about these, as always, please like, subscribe, click notify. I don't even know where it is. We're pointing in weird directions. Oh, I'm in a mirror. I can't see. It's up there somewhere. Oh, I'm pointing off screen now. That's definitely not where it goes. Like, subscribe, notify, comment, whatever. We're here for all of it. But today, we want to do something a little different. We want to talk a little bit about servant leadership, which is what we did last time, Josh.
Yes.
Kind of talk a little bit more. And then really the second half, or really the last 3/4, we want to have a little fun with a segment we're going to call Stories from the HR Crypt. Not very scary, I don't think, but it'll be fun. It might be. It might be scary. So, Josh, you want to recap us a little bit on what we did last week?
So we talked about servant leadership. So my favorite part of servant leadership is the word servant. That's the main thing. That's the thing you need to take from it, is that it's about serving your team, serving your people, and making sure that you are there for them. You work for them. They don't work for you.
Mm-hmm. If servant wasn't the main thing in servant leadership, I don't think it'd be called servant leadership.
It would just
right?
be leadership.
It'd just be leadership, which we've talked about a lot in different facets. But servant leadership definitely deserves a spot of its own to talk about. So what does that mean? When you said you like the word servant and you kind of talked about it for a second, can you expand a little bit on that, Josh?
So that part of it's obviously the most crucial part. Being a servant to your team, it gives them more faith in you, more trust in you, more reliability in you. You get a better team out of it. It's not something I've always done, but it's something that I've definitely tried to get better at later in my career. I would say definitely something I suggest any leader look into, study up on, read books about, whatever you got to find. Servant leadership's the ticket. I think you get a lot further with it than you do anywhere else.
When you look at servant leadership, this idea comes to mind of leading with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than just, serving your team and helping your team, but there's a true purpose behind what we do. So Josh, when it comes to servant leadership, how do you relate that to purpose-driven leadership compared to just doing a job?
Well, purpose-driven leaders motivate instead of mandate. You have a purpose to drive, succeed, but not for just hitting goals or hitting metrics or something like that. Your purpose, to me, is fulfilled through, we've kind of talked about it before, motivating and making a team that's the equivalent to the greatest team out there. That's having that purpose, and having that purpose will get you to that point where you're hitting those goals.
When it comes to purpose-driven leadership, servant leadership, that the purpose that I go into it, and I know others have, is to have the best intentions for your employees. You have the best possible path for success for them in mind, whether it is KPIs or whether it's usually a lot more than just KPIs,
right?
But how you're going to help them succeed in a way that is going to be best for them. And if you go in with that mindset of how do I go about my day, making sure that John Doe over here or Jane Doe over here is able to be successful today, what do I need to do to give them the tools to be successful, is your purpose, and by using that and funneling that into your folks, that's where you can be the servant to them. You can be in the trenches with them, help them, while at the same time elevating them.
It gives clarity.
Yeah.
I mean, you have clarity and resilience and authenticity. You have with a purpose, you give them the ability to, one, drive themselves. They find their own purpose through your purpose.
Yeah.
Or porpoise.
No, I don't know. I don't think I don't think
they could work at SeaWorld. Porpoises may be their purposes.
Okay.
Their purposes may be porpoises.
Wow. Leading with purpose is deeper and more valuable than just working a job. When you lead with purpose and others see that purpose, kind of what you said before, and then they start working towards the same purpose, then not only do they feel a deeper, connection to the job and finding that success, but you do as well as a leader, as a manager, and it gives you more strength of mind, if you will, to move forward with stuff with your employees, I think. When you come in with that mindset of my employees are the most important thing to me, not my bottom line, not this KPI or this KPI. Yes, those are important. We got to get to those. But when it's these employees are the most important thing to me. And my job as a leader is to help them be successful and help them reach the next level and help them, whatever that's going to drive you as a
Mhm.
leader. That's going to be what your whole mindset is wrapped around. And I have been with countless teams where that wasn't the mindset, and then it became the mindset, and they flourished.
Right. You have when you have a great team and you have a great leader behind it, you get to the purpose is the why. I mean, that's the why behind the whole thing. I mean, great leaders that have purpose, it's not just about the job. They know why the job matters. And they
Right.
relate that to their team. Their team begins to understand that just through their driven work ethic, their go get it. I have a reason for doing what I'm doing. Follow me, come join me. And the rest of them, the rest of the team's like, yeah, okay, we see you have this. You have a passion. You understand. You're explaining it. You're not just kind of keeping it to yourself. And now this team's like, yeah, I'm on board. I'm in. Let's do it. Let's win.
Yeah. When you as a manager phone it in, where you come in and you're just collecting a paycheck,
Like
let
ET.
me get this. Yeah, ET phone home. When you're just collecting a paycheck,
Mm,
your employees know that you're there just collecting a paycheck. They can see that. My boss doesn't do anything. They just sit there, whatever else. But when you have that mindset, your employees are going to have a really hard time becoming the best versions of themselves. It takes some guidance and some help for a lot of people to become the best versions of themselves. Everybody needs feedback on how they're doing, whether they're superstars or not.
agreed.
And if you're as a leader aren't providing that, if you're not in there with them, doing the job, working, trying to make their life better every chance that you get, then you're going to be stuck with however far that they are along in their journey of career growth. You're not going to see much more out of it.
And we've kind of talked about that too, being out in the trenches and being in the front and leading with that sense. Listen, we understand that you can't be in the trenches all the time as a leader.
Oh,
You fall behind
absolutely.
on on your metrics, KPIs, you're doing your paperwork, all this stuff. But you have to be out there a percentage of the time. You can't do it 10%, you can't do it 20%. It needs to be over 70% that you need to be out there and then make sure the paperwork gets done. But you really build a trust and a contagious atmosphere with purpose if you're leading the charge and not standing behind and saying, go do this, go do that. You can't continue to do that kind of leadership and expect them to find purpose in what they're doing because you don't have no purpose if you're doing that.
Right. Right. When employees see that, morale typically improves.
Mhm.
Uh, when their ability or their mindset of wanting to come to work and produce or do the best job that they can tends to go up
Mhm.
when they feel like their leader has their back, when they feel like their leader is there with them, when they feel like their leader has purpose and a plan and is not just sitting there doing nothing or just skating by. There's a lot to employee morale and employee mindsets and thought patterns when you have somebody who's a servant leader and truly shows the employees that they matter.
That's so true. So true. And it'll outlast pressure. Purpose will take you the distance. Where pressure, yeah, it may get that, that hit that goal because you're getting pressure from everywhere. You're putting pressure on your team. Although we finally hit that number. Good. Now it's time to pressure it up again. That won't last. Those people are going to there's a reason pressure has to have an outlet. There's a reason because if it doesn't, it's going to burst somewhere. And
Yeah.
so you're going to lose that drive, that purpose, if you will. So purpose will outlast pressure. That's something leaders really need to take into, their toolbox and bring out.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed completely. But for me, every employee that I have is a mentee, and I view them as a mentor, whether they wanted me to or not. But I'm here to help them grow, to help them succeed, right? And so I want to mentor them into that. Maybe they don't want to be a leader, right? Maybe they don't want to go into management, but maybe they
Mhm.
just want to do the best version of the job they're currently at. Maybe that's their dream job. and they don't want to do anything else, but they want to do it the best they can. Then you mentor that person and you help that person. I think servant leadership is a lot about mentoring and being open and vulnerable with people in that mentorship.
I agree. You get to a point in your leadership journey where you'll start to notice. I mean, obviously, you'll evolve what works, what doesn't work.
Mhm.
That'll change, and your purpose will change over time. As long as you keep the courage up, keep pushing, stay continuous at it, your purpose will become your team's purpose too. And I think that in a lot of situations like what you're talking about, you'll lose that desire without a
Right.
purpose. You'll burn out, and if you burn out, guess what's going to happen to your team? They're just going to fade. Everything about them is going to fade.
Mhm.
Not knowing and not diving into your team, all these goals and all these things that we got to hit as managers and leaders and stuff like that. I'm telling you, you put servant leadership in there and you drive with purpose, you're going to hit those goals. It's impossible not to. They're going to hit.
Agreed. Agreed. I can't speak enough on servant leadership on and the ways that I feel like it is beneficial to a business. It doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, whether it's a retail business, whether it's a wholesale business, manufacturing, construction, whatever else. I think a servant leadership type mindset really is universal. Like it doesn't matter where it is,
Mhm.
it can be beneficial. I think too, it's important as a leader. I think we talked about this early on in one of our podcasts. So if you haven't, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. By the way,
Hey,
hey, welcome. But if it is, go back and watch some of our first podcasts. I can't even speak. I
there's
just repeat
7.
myself. Yes, since we said this was number 8. Good job, Josh.
I'm a genius.
Maths. Yeah, jeez. I thought you were gonna put an 8 up there. That's when you did 7. I thought, wow, we messed up pretty bad. Uh, but even when you're in that leadership role, even if you don't feel it, and I think that's as important as it. Even if you don't feel it, displaying confidence in who you are and what you are to the people that are under you, if you will, or that you work with, is necessary and vital to help others know their strengths, to help others know their own identities. It's also important as a servant leader to be humble enough to admit when you do something wrong. And we've talked about that
Mhm,
before, but
mhm.
just because you're a servant leader and you're sitting there trying to help people be the best versions of themselves or help produce whatever it is, doesn't mean you're necessarily going to make every single decision correct and you're going to steer them in every single correct direction. And being able to say, you know what, I led you wrong there. And talk through it with the employee and own it, I think will draw employees even more to your leadership style.
And you know, you, I,
Oh, you got it too.
if
What did you just?
I don't know what just happened.
I don't
I
know either.
blanked out for a second. I was going to say one of the greatest feelings as a leader is when you don't have to use words and your team still gets you.
Just a look.
Right. Well, no, not necessarily something like that, but like say you're out, you're sick, you're not going to be able to make it
Mm,
in. Your team just picks it
true.
up and goes. They just pick it up,
Right.
run with it, they crush it. You're not there to tell them every single little detail that needs to be done. You got somebody that steps up on the team, and the team as a whole, they're like, "We got you. We got you. Don't worry
Mhm.
about this. Stay home, take care of yourself." That is an amazing feeling. And you're not going to get that as a tyrant. You're not going to get that as a jerk. You're not going to get that as a pressure leader.
No. I thought you were going to keep going. I thought you had more to say. So when you stopped, I'm like, I'm going to fill this awkward silence with just saying no.
No, no.
It is a great feeling though when you know you you can be away or
Uh,
you have to be away from your team and they still thrive. That doesn't
mhm.
mean you're ineffective as a leader.
No,
Some
that
people
means
would
you're
look
doing
at
something
that as,
right.
oh, if you're not there and they're still doing the same thing, then what effect do you have? It's the journey that took it to get to that point
Mhm.
that you can feel really proud of. And I've seen countless teams that have done that.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's been me or whether it's been other people I know that are servant leaders that aren't there and their team just picks up, they don't miss a beat, things go on. They're ready for the manager to get back. They always say that, but at the same time, they are they're just rolling. Man, that's a good feeling as a manager.
It is. It's and to know that, you come in that next day, or you on vacation, you come back that next week and you get compliments from other leaders. Hey man, your team, killed it this week while you were
Mhm.
gone. They really stepped up to the plate. And now if you're getting, they really did better than when you're here, then you need to start really looking at your your goals and your leadership capabilities. But if
Can you go away more often? I've heard
yeah,
that before.
yeah, oh yeah,
Can you go
that'd be
back on
bad.
vacation?
Can you go back on vacation? Your team was doing
your,
so great
your
while you
team is
weren't around.
great. Well,
And
yeah,
then you need to look at some leadership training, I think. Um,
that's so true.
but that is a great feeling, and knowing you have that kind of team in your corner fighting for you, that's a proud moment as a leader when that finally hits.
It all is about respect. When you are in the trenches with your employees and they see you grinding for them and with them, not in spite of them, not over them, not any other word I may be forgetting there, but actually with them, and all that, they become a stronger team. Not only to become stronger, respect grows for them. And when you have a team like that, they value their manager. They value what their manager has said or their leader has said, and they don't want to let their leader down. So
Right.
when you're gone, they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna do what I can to make sure that they come back and things are great." Not out of a, if we don't, we're going to get in trouble.
Mhm.
That's a different kind of leadership that we don't really condone, I think, on this channel. We don't really condone that kind of leadership, but
No.
it's more of a, man, I really respect that individual. I appreciate what they've done. I don't want to let them down. It's like I would say a parent child, but I don't mean that way as a leader that they're all your children. Although I do think of employees under me as my children.
Mhm.
As a father myself, that's how I think of people. Now, do I treat them as children? No. Do I think of them as my kids that I've got to help and support and raise and nurture and care for? And absolutely. And in return, they know that I care about them. They know that I want the best for them. So they do everything they can, not to make me happy, but to almost as a gratitude of thanks for doing this.
Right. It's a thank you. That's what it is. You're right. It's
Yeah.
it's um it's that gratification of, I feel like you have our best interest at heart, and we
Right.
want to make sure you understand that when you're gone, we have your best interest. And it goes back to the why. You know,
Right.
if you're giving them the why, the answer to that question, then they're going to go to bat for you. I mean, you're gonna have some that don't, right? I mean, you're always going to have some.
Oh God.
Let's not be 100% here. We always know there's a percentage out there that's just never going to come on board. Building a perfect team of more than 10 people is hard to do. You're going to have
Mhm.
some that just aren't. They're there for the paycheck, baby. That's all they're there for.
And there are people like that. And you, as a
Mhm.
manager, you have to know that.
Mhm.
And you will sense that. You spend time with your people, you'll know who's there for a paycheck and who wants to. Does that mean that you spend less time with the people that are just there for a paycheck? No,
No.
because you're only as strong as your weakest person, right? That's a that can go through a bunch. You've heard that all over the place for different things, sports,
Mhm.
teams,
Mhm.
whatever else. But it's true in business too. And those are the people that you still do the same thing you're doing for the one that's hungry and eager. You still do the same thing for the one that just wants to clock in and clock out and go home.
Yeah, you keep the trainings the same, right?
Right.
You're going to give them the same effort, the same amount of knowledge and benefits that they could possibly get from you, just in case. Uh, and you never know. Sometimes your weakest link may become your strongest anchor point. So you really want to play it out for everybody and see what's going to work. You want to water every plant, right? And see if it grows. Some won't. Some are stunted. They won't grow. They'll die out. Um, and that may be something that you can't help, but you at least want to give it a shot. I mean, you want to give everybody the same opportunity.
You do. And it's important to note that it doesn't always work out. And you, like you said before, you do have employees sometimes that it just won't ever work out. And that does not mean that you failed them.
Mm.
Right? It doesn't mean that. It could be a personality clash, it could be a mindset clash, it could be
It could
something
be
they
a
don't
timing.
get. It could be a timing thing where
Mhm.
they realize it down the road.
Right.
Like there's all sorts of stuff. It doesn't mean you're a failure and you just keep going. But what I've seen in my career is when you pour that kind of attention in people, whether they care or not at the end, whether they stay with you, whether they leave, whatever the case is, you pour that kind of time and attention into somebody, then years later, even after they're not even with your company anymore,
Mm.
they will remember how a leader helped them, and they will use that to help other people. Man, I went through something like this in my career, and let me try to do what helped me. You never know who you're going to impact. Even the people that say, "I don't want any help. I'm just here to collect a paycheck. Get out of my face. Don't like you," which I've had. I've had people straight
Get out
up
of my face, don't like you.
don't like me. But even with that, your hope is that even if they learn anything, you hope that they can take it to somebody else and teach them. Even if they don't want to apply it to what you're asking
Mhm.
them to apply it to. You never know what that's going to do for somebody down the road in
Right.
life, not just business.
Agreed. There's things you can teach people that they can take into all kind of aspects of their life, and you're always trying to train your replacement. I mean, that's kind of the goal, right? You're hoping you're going to move up onto bigger and better things, whether it be with the company you're at or whether it be at another company. So why not go ahead and help the next one in line to reach their full potential? And you talked about them being kids and stuff like that, and I agree with that. They're family. When you're a servant leader, you can't help but have that kind of family mentality. And so you do want to, you have leaders that will treat them like children, and that's not your goal, but you definitely want to look at them as a role in a family mentality. I mean, you're with those people more than you are at home. Usually,
Right.
I mean, if you work a 40-hour, 50-hour
Typically,
week,
yeah.
you're with those people more than you are your own family. So you might as well make the best of it. You know what I mean? I mean, you might as well
Agreed.
get to know them and get to like them.
Yeah, I think servant leadership is, you can boil it down to, it is helping people understand the innate value that they hold as
Mhm.
people. That's what you're doing as a servant leader. You're showing them how important they are and
True.
that they are valuable. And then to speak real quick on the family side of it, I think it happens so often where you think, "Oh, my team is, we're like family." There are limits to that you have to watch out for as a leader. Like I had a
Agreed.
leader I had a leader one time where at our location, at our auction we were at, because I was in the automotive auction industry for quite a number of years, and the auction had won some tickets to a football game, not a football game, a baseball game. And the leader, my boss, had gotten tickets from the auction, gave it to him. Then the auction was going to go hand tickets to people that were my employees. So two people below, or, two below
Mhm.
him.
Mhm.
And he saw them handing tickets out, and basically went over there and slapped the tickets out of the hands of marketing and said, "You can't give it to them because I'm going to be there. And as their boss's boss, I don't need to have any association with them, nor do I need to see them in the public." Like, freaking
Wow.
rude, jerk. Like,
I do not need to
horrible.
be seen with these peasants.
That's exactly how it was. And they actually came to me because I got tickets too. And they came to me afterwards and they said, "Hey, if we ended up getting tickets and we showed up, would you tell us to sit in another section? Would you do that?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this feels like a different era, right? A different time in American history." And I said, "Of course not. Like, am I going to go pal around and, have a bunch of time and spend a bunch of time with them and just do stuff outside of work? No, I'm not. But if I see them there, am I going to say, 'Hey, how are you doing?' If they bring a significant other, am I going to want to meet them? Absolutely. Right? I'm not going to be a jerk about it, but there
Right.
are limits to that. You don't want to make it so much that now all of a sudden you can get into an area where people see favoritism for
Mhm.
employees. I
Mhm.
had that. I didn't have it happen. I had an employee that first managerial job, and he went that far with an employee till everybody in the whole place knew it's just favoritism.
Mhm.
And it's stories upon stories of that dude. But you have to have balance. You got to have balance. I mean, this is a guy that was buying like all sorts of stuff for one employee and making a show of it in front of everybody. Like, pretty womp womp,
I'm
pretty
gonna
bad.
go out on a limb and say this is a male-female work relationship.
It was not. It was a male male
Oh.
best bro
Oh.
relationship. One of the guys was just trying to get promoted,
Mm.
and the other one let their ego get fueled a little bit, and there you
Mm.
go. And now I don't even know if either of them work for the company. That was a while back. So balance, you got to have it.
That is true. No.
That's a good side joke. Yeah, so we could just continue to talk through servant leadership for a while.
Well, we have another
Because
2
it's so-
hours, so
long podcast that all 10 people that are watching this whenever it goes live are not looking at.
10,000, Paul.
10,000. You're right.
10,000.
10,000 people. So yeah, we could talk about this for a long time.
Speaking of servant leadership, no.
if you have questions, put them in the comments. We'd love to chat with you offline and provide any help that we can.
Yeah, nobody's putting comments. Throw comments out there. Let us answer questions. Give us something hard. Give us a test.
Give us a test. You can give Josh a test. I'm okay without a test.
Give me a test. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Throw some algebra problems in there.
Because that's leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that. That sounds horrible.
I'm ready.
Yeah. All right. So let's just have some fun the rest of the conversation. This was such a smooth transition, if you've noticed, from talking about servant leadership to this part. Well, let's have fun. I said at the start, we're going to do HR Tales from the Crypt. If anybody saw Tales from the Crypt when they were kids in the 90s, shout out to the 90s. Again, these aren't going to be scary, but just funny anecdotes. It's a fun word to say about things that we've experienced in the HR world, whether they were true HR issues, things that could have been HR issues,
made up HR issues.
Made up. No, we're not going to do any of that. So do you have anything first, Josh?
Oh,
or
Paul,
do you
we talked about this off the air. You were supposed to go first.
I was giving you a chance to see if you were thinking while we were talking.
There was this one time, but I'll let you go first.
Okay. So HR is a interesting world, right? So many different things you can get called into an office for, so many things that you either get called into or you don't get called into for, where you should have been called into for. So many situations out there. And over the years where I've been a leader, I've seen so many different things, and many of them have been pretty comical, at least to me. So I'll start with one, Josh. This is one that we didn't go to HR with it because I dealt with it differently. But I was in the auction business, and I was visiting one of my auctions, and it was early in the morning. It was sale day at the auction, which just means we're running cars to the auction, And the sales manager at that site typically bought like donuts for the dealers that are coming to buy these cars to take back. So a whole spread of donuts and stuff. And it's typically dealer only. That's it. Done. So dealers start showing up really early that morning. My team is there like 7 a.m., something crazy. I am not. I don't show up until like 8 or 8:30. But I get a call at like 7:30 in the morning from the sales manager. And he goes, "Paul, we've got a big problem." And I said, "What's the problem?" He goes, "It's the donuts." I was like,
they're tainted.
Why are you calling me at 7:30 in the morning about donuts?
We don't have chocolate glazed.
And I said, what's wrong with the donuts? And he said, "Well, he goes, yeah, everything.
They have holes in them."
He said, they have holes in them." Oh, jeez. They're supposed to just be cake, large cakey cookies in there. They've got holes in them. I don't know what's going on. They weren't supposed to have anything on it. Now he said, "Those are for the dealers, right?" And I said, "Yes, I know they're for the dealers." He said, "Well, your employee, let's just name them Rita Scoops a lot. Rita Scoops a lot." He said, "Rita came over and I watched her, Paul. She's not supposed to have these. And she attacked these donuts like a feral badger." I said,
"Come on, Rita."
He goes, she just got her fingers in there and she was digging through these donuts and tearing these donuts and shoving them in her mouth. And it was a scene in front of the dealers, and we can't have that. And I said, "What are you talking about? A feral badger? Like, what are you talking about?" And so I show up to the store and he's like waiting at the door for me. "Paul, you need to come see this carnage left." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's just donuts, man." And I go look, and yeah, there's bits and pieces of donuts.
Oh my gosh.
Scattered. And then there was so I went to Rita's desk, and she had stepped out, and there was a whole box.
Some in the drawer?
Oh yeah, there was a whole box of donuts underneath the drawer.
I was just joking. I didn't really think it was a thing.
And he was like, "You got to call HR right now. We're writing her up." And I said, "Man, I'm not writing her up
Eating some
for eating
donuts.
some donuts. I don't care
Even
if
if it
she ate it
was
like
a
a feral
savage.
badger, even though she was a savage." And, I so I said no, and he kind of walked off in a huff. And I went and talked to her later. I'm like, "Hey, did you have some donuts this morning?" Like, I see you have some donuts. Oh, she
Still on
told
your
me
face.
she did have some like some of them were the what are they, frosted donuts, the ones that are powder that you
Oh,
just
yeah,
get them all
yeah.
over. So she actually had some on her. I was like, did you have some donuts? Oh no, I didn't touch any donuts out there. I was like, oh, you didn't? What's all this on your face? And she's like, oh, it's my makeup. You know, it's just makeup. I'm like, oh, super white
I'm
powdery
going to a
makeup.
clown
Okay.
convention after this.
The sad thing is as I was talking to her, I found out that she was just starving and hadn't eaten for like 48 hours because all her money had been spent on bills and she couldn't get food. And
That's
I'm
sad.
like, yeah, this is supposed to be funny, happy, funny times. And then I am bringing the house down, not in a funny way. But it was sad. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Feel free to go full badger on anything you see out there. And she was like, what? But there are times, when you get people that you don't know their motives, that you just need to have a conversation with them, even if they're acting like a feral animal.
Yeah, I
Figure
think
out what is going on. Why are you doing this?
so we can talk about these stories and then kind of go over it a little bit. I think it's a good idea. I mean, writing somebody up for having a moment of weakness around donuts. I'm going to be honest. I saw donuts and I don't know what they're there for. I'm in them. If
See,
they're chocolate glazed, you'll never know they existed.
oh yeah, they would. You'd have stuff all over your face with a beard. Oh, dude, I can't eat a donut without half of it inside my beard.
That's the greatest part of a beard is it
I do.
saves food for later.
I do find little things to nibble on later on, just little snacks. That's really gross, but it's true.
I did. I was at
That's
a
so
birthday
true.
party this past weekend, and I managed to keep what was it? I think it was spinach dip in my beard for a little while. So I saved myself a tiny morsel there. So that's the best part of a beard. Anyway, moving on. So I've got one. I probably should have ended up in HR for this one.
Ooh,
Your
yes.
donuts kind of reminded me of it. So I'm a pizza guy. I love pizza. And I'm not, before people get off on a kick with, have you ever had real pizza? Now I'm just talking about just ordering pizza from a restaurant, fast food. Overnight, that was the greatest thing, is to get you a pizza, store it away so you'd have it for later, right? So in the world of retail, you have scavengers that raid refrigerators for food, right? So I taken my pizza. I wrote my name on my pizza. I ate a couple of pieces before we started work, put my pizza in the refrigerator. And I know my team would never touch my pizza. It's got my name on it. They know how much I love pizza. I'm liable to fire somebody if they touch my pizza. So I go lunchtime to eat my pizza, and there's two pieces missing. So there's still pizza there, but there's two pieces missing. I'm not going to touch my pizza after I have no idea who touched it or helped themselves to my pizza, right? I mean, that's gross. But anyway, so I get slightly angry. This is a younger me, slightly angry. I go over the PA system at the store. And I say, now keep in mind, the store's closed. There's no customers, right? It's
Oh,
just
that would have been
workers.
better if there was customers.
No,
That
it's
would have
just
been.
workers.
Oh
So I go over
my
the PA
God.
system and I say, I hope you enjoyed your pizza that you stole and did not pay for. I'll gladly take $1.25 for each piece, and you can have the rest of the pizza. And then I hung up the PA system. And one of my guys that I worked with, I became real good friends with, he said, do you feel like that was necessary? I said, yeah. Yeah, it was. It was necessary. He stole my pizza. I know. He stole my pizza.
Hey, food is
And
important.
I at
Food is
least want
important.
money back for it. Food is very important to me. I'm a
It is.
foodie,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't share food. I don't share food with my wife. I don't
Whoa.
share food. She knows that. She understands.
Wow.
So the
You're like a
fact that
rabid
some
badger.
random person went in there and took some slices of my pizza, I mean, it was perfect too. So I'm still mad about that. If you're watching this podcast and you're that person, I want a pizza. Order me a pizza and send it to me.
So did you think HR was going to get onto you because you used the PA system to call out people stealing your food?
Didn't even care.
Oh,
I was
I
so hot
did.
at the time, I didn't even care.
That would have been hilarious if you did it with customers in the building. Oh my gosh. As a customer, I would have lost. I would have lost it. I would have laughed so hard.
Yeah, that would have been good, especially if I knew the person's name and I called him out.
Hmm.
But I honestly, to this day, I don't know who took that pizza. They never fessed up, and I didn't get my $1.25 per piece, and I didn't get another pizza.
Oh,
This
well.
podcast is over. Now I feel bad.
Speaking of where you almost get in trouble by HR, I thought I was cooked one day because I was working for a retail car dealer. And I'll just say it was CarMax years ago and years ago. And we had just opened up this store called a car buying center. So if you've ever been to a CarMax and if you're in an area that you don't know what that is, just a really large used car store. But we had opened one that was called a car buying center. And all we did was the public would come in and we would appraise their car for them. And then if they wanted to sell it, we would either take possession of it there, then they would leave, or we would give them an offer and they'd go to the main location and trade it in for a car. We had no cars on site. We didn't do anything except for buy cars. People could come and make payments to us too. We handled that kind of stuff, but that's all they did. And I had to work it for so many months in a row. And we would only have maybe 1 or 2 customers a day. And you're working a 9-hour shift, 8-hour shift with 2 customers that show up and no phone calls. You get really freaking bored
I bet.
in that place. So we had bought one of those little toddler basketball sets, with the little squishy ball.
Yeah.
And we had
the one that hangs on the door? Or
Yeah,
it's
no.
Okay.
It's a little
Just a little stand.
little Tyco or little whatever they're
I
called.
got you. I got you.
Anyway, so we would grab the ball. We made up a game called cubicle ball. So we had these cubicles that we would bring people into, and we would play volleyball across the cubicles where you couldn't see the other person, and you would jump up and slam the ball. It would crash into computers. Computers would fly everywhere. Phones would jump off the hook. Pens would fly off. We'd always be like sweaty, like terribly sweaty, because we were bored. We were just trying to have fun.
Right.
And one day we had just finished playing that game. And then we moved to play basketball and we were playing horse and setting it up all over the room. And we're just launching stuff. And I get a phone call rings and there's only like 3 of us there. I get a phone call and I go answer the phone and it goes, "Hi, this is CarMax Corporate Security." And I said, "Well, hello, how can we help you?" They said, "We have got one question for you. How's the basketball game going?"
Oh,
so our HR or our corporate security offices somehow got into were watching our cameras for our one little bitty store and saw me playing basketball or horse with this other guy. But he said, "How's the basketball game going?" Like kind of stern like. And I said, "Man, it sucks. I'm losing right now."
I don't know about you, but I'm a HOR.
I didn't say that. I did say that. I said, "Man, I'm losing." I said, "Do you need something so I can go get back to this?" he said, and I thought in my mind, as soon as I said that, I'm like, "You're an idiot, Paul. They're going to call the main location, tell them what you're doing. You're going to get in trouble." And all he said was, "No, I don't need anything. I just wanted to see who was winning the game. Keep doing it. We're enjoying watching you guys play games." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Have a good day." I'm waving at the camera like he's watching me. And then we went back and playing sports, but I thought I was fired. As soon as I got that call, I thought I was fired. And I just went straight into, you know what? I'm just going to own this and
Might
just
as well finish the game.
mode. Might as well just finish this game out.
Game on.
But nothing happened. It was good.
And see, I like it when people are like that. I like it when a guy's like, "I know y'all should probably be working a little bit harder, but I mean, can you really work harder in this moment? So y'all enjoy yourselves. Why not?"
Since I know you're thinking, Josh,
Bam.
I can tell your thinking face.
You smell the smoke?
I can smell the smoke. I can see the smoke. I had another one where we had a policy in our office that you couldn't, as most offices are, you can't smoke, you can't vape, you can't do anything in this office. Don't do it. Go outside, take your smoke break.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I don't smoke, I don't vape, I don't do anything like that. So no big deal. I'm good. Well, I'm sitting there in my office. It's quiet. It's like I don't remember what day it is. It's a beautiful autumn day. No, I don't really know. I'm just sitting there in the office and there's a double door. There's my door. You go out, there's a double door, and then you go to a small hallway. There's another double door, and then a long hallway and a huge lobby. And through those double doors, I hear this pitter patter. I hear feet, and I'm like,
Sounds like Mario.
It was. I thought, who is this little kid that's just running all over the lobby? Like, that's what it sounded like somebody was just running all over the lobby. And that little pitter patter gets louder and louder and louder. And I'm like, what are they doing? And I hear the other double doors open and kind of shut kind of quick, and more pitter patter, louder than the doors next to me open. And then I see it's my HR rep, and she she turns and comes into my office, and her face is huge like a chipmunk. And I'm like, what's going on? Are you okay? And she sits down in my office, closes the door, and then just goes, and then all this smoke comes out of her mouth. And I said, what are you doing? She said, I forgot that I'm not allowed to vape in this office. And I'm sitting in the HR office and I'm vaping. And the vice president of the company came in and I didn't know where to go. And so I ran with it in my mouth because I couldn't blow it out. And the only thing I could think of is I could come to your office because you wouldn't report me. And I said, girl, you realize you ran past 3 doors to the outside before you got here.
You could have just opened the door.
You could have just opened
blew it
door,
out.
Blew it out and came back in instead. Now my office smells like whatever this is. Open that door and get out of here, right? But it's funny when HR does something that they're not supposed to do. And then you go, well, what am I supposed to do? You just kind of have fun with it at that point, unless it's like really, really bad, but you just have fun with it.
See, most of the stories that I have, we've done on other shows already. I've done my smelly employee story and my fight in the parking lot story. So if you want to hear those, you have to go back and check those out. I don't really have a lot of good stories. Not from that perspective. I've got some stories that I could tell from. I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to tell that one. That one's disgusting. We'll lose viewers. That has to do with bathroom etiquette.
I've got several of those. Yeah, we probably should spare people. There's just so many things that I dealt with that I did have to go to HR on and say, hey, this happened. And HR would laugh and go, are you serious? There's more stories, and we'll revisit this. I think another time we'll have some more stories to tell. But we've been yapping for a little while, Josh. I think we're probably at time, as we usually are, to end this.
I have more stories next time. I'm going to give you all the stories first, especially the producer, and see if she thinks
they're appropriate. So let's do that. So we've been putting these out every week for all of our followers out there. Been putting them out every week. We will not have one next week, but we will be right back the following week, where we're gonna talk about when your job. Kind of going further than what I talked about earlier, when your job affects your relationships, because it's one thing to be a leader at a job, but it's one thing for then your job to lead you. So I want to sign off with this. I'm going to leave you with this, Josh. It's a brain teaser, makes you think. Okay. And people in the comments can comment all they want, or if they've got some of these they'd like us to share sometimes, go ahead and send us a message.
I already have the answer.
But think about this, Josh. If larger people, we'll go with that phraseology. If larger people have more skin, wouldn't that actually make them skinnier? Right? Anyways, thanks everybody for coming to our podcast.
Gosh.
Enjoy your week, and we will see you in 2 weeks here at Sword and Strategy. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to do that. That's a little too crazy. All right.
I thought it was good.
I'm going to be calm.
I would have used it.
The last one was really boring. I was trying to. Well, that ain't gonna work. Rain fart. We'll restart.
I don't know what happened. I was like, crap, I missed my line.
Okay, I got this. Did it shimmy? Did good? Okay. I can't say I think or anyways. Man, my vocabulary is getting limited. So Josh, go ahead whenever.
Oh. I didn't know if I was going to count that down or
no.
What's going on here? See, I didn't even notice you were doing that either. I do not notice these things. It's not good. It's not good that I can't see the things I need to cut. What? What is it now?